I thought we would get a Storm like this.
Ancient sands, heed my command and reclaim these relics of hatred.
But we ended up with this.
Storm!
You can see the extent of her power here. But it just doesn't hit the same here.
Blew them away.
Storm is one of the most iconic characters in the Marvel Universe, and I was incredibly excited to see her included in the lineup for Marvel Rivals. But for now, she appears to be one of the worst heroes in the game, and frankly, I don't agree with her kit or how it's utilized. From my days as a child watching the X-Men animated series way back in the 90s, I always thought of Storm as more of a voice of reason, not a fighter eager for battle. Her leadership skills developed over time, and at one point she was even the leader of the X-Men themselves. The case for Storm being a strategist and not a duelist started early in her life and lore. There is a critical moment in Storm's history where she had a horrifying experience as a teenager in Egypt. After leaving Cairo, she was hitchhiking and accepted a ride from a stranger who tried to impose himself on her and assault her. Forced to defend herself, she killed the man. From that moment on, she vowed to never take another human life. And that doesn't really sound like a duelist mentality to me. Storm even became involved in politics, trying to protect mutant kind and coexisting with humans, and she was even put in charge of the United Nations Global Mutant Police Force. We can also tack on the fact that she became Queen of Wakanda after marrying the Black Panther, and after that, Professor X called her the most important mutant in the world and the living symbol of human and mutant relations. To sum it all up, her actual character story sounds more like a strategist to me than a duelist. She isn't ripping you apart with claws or shooting you with an assault rifle or being overly aggressive. I feel like she's trying to solve problems in other more diplomatic or more disarming ways. Another way to put it is she's using the elements to mess you up. And I think this game could use these tools in far more interesting ways than what her current kit shows off. Her damage numbers suck, her aura and buffing capabilities are messy, and besides her amazing ultimate, her abilities look and feel as weak as can be. I just wish she did more interesting things than a couple skill shots doing damage in a straight line. A recent chart that was compiled from almost 3,000 top 500 ranked games shows that Storm was picked in 0.04% of the matches. So like one game. And in any normal match, her impact is low, with her Hurricane ultimate easily countered by many other abilities. Can you win a match with Storm right now? Yeah, sure, of course. You could win, you could even carry. Anything is possible right now. The game is new, and a lot of people have no idea what is going on. The meta is constantly evolving, which is wonderful, but the character, Storm, just doesn't hold up at all compared to her counterparts. I'm good on Storm. I know how to squeeze value out of the character. I know how to wait for Luna or Mantis's ults to expire before using my ult. I try to buff my team's damage whenever I can, get them out of trouble with my movement speed whenever I need to do that, but none of it really feels satisfying. Like, why do I need to reload my Wind Blade basic attack? Hawkeye never runs out of arrows, but apparently I run out of oxygen to throw at the enemies. Add on the fact that her basic attack is not hit scan, it apparently cannot be a headshot, and it takes 5 hits to kill a 250 HP target. And yeah, okay, sure, her attacks can pierce targets and hit multiple people, but that doesn't happen enough to ever really factor into the math. Even her team-up ability is a simple and boring mechanic. It hits for 50 damage, which is the same as a Mantis basic attack, and it's on a ridiculous 20-second cooldown. So imagine for a moment What if we move Storm to a strategist? What could that look like? Now, I want you to keep in mind that strategist in this game does not need to mean healer. They all currently do heal, but they don't have to. That's why they chose this different design philosophy and named them strategists instead of support or healers. Same thing goes for vanguards and duelists. They're not just tanks or support. Same goes for vanguards and duelists. They're not just tanks and DPS characters. There's a little more diversity to them. And there are other ways to mitigate damage that we could see appear in the future. And with the open queue format of the game, if you insist on having 2 healers to be on your team, you could still pick a 3rd strategist if it fits. What if Storm could provide a constant stream of shielding with her aura instead, like a whirling cyclone that reduces damage for her and her teammates? What if her basic attack was like a mini chain lightning that shocks a few enemies and does moderate damage but also reduces their movement speed? What if her right click was a giant gust of wind, pushing back enemies and defending her backline or putting enemies in spots that they don't want to be in? What if she could conjure a single target shield of ice on an ally that's blocking damage and slowing attackers, or a lightning shield on them that can reflect damage back to anyone that hits them? What I'm trying to say is, I think she has a lot more diversity in what her kit is capable of compared to many other heroes, and currently it is utilized in a pretty lackluster way. She throws some puffs of air, she throws a single bolt of lightning that hits for the same damage as a hella basic attack, and even her aura doesn't look or act in any kind of fantastic way. Only her ultimate ability can stay, in my opinion, because it does look awesome. It shows what she is capable of when she reaches her limit, and it's just a solid, different type of ultimate compared to many other ones in the game. I picture Storm as a presence that buffs and supports the team around her, using the elements in a wide variety of different strategies. Is anyone else seeing what I see? Even if they ever do buff her damage numbers, I just don't find the character compelling enough in her current state. Her abilities just don't satisfy me to use them like so many other characters do in this game. But whatever. We'll see what happens. That's my rant for today. I know it's early for a character to be remade or whatever. I don't usually call for remakes this early in a game. But I honestly feel like she's the only one that really feels kind of out of place. It's too generic for a character that is anything but generic. She has such an insane history in the X-Men and Marvel, and I don't know. It just doesn't fit for me. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching and supporting me. I do stream daily over at twitch.tv/Silvis66. I'll link it in the description of the video. I do love discussing all of this stuff, so you can stop by anytime and give me shit about why I'm wrong. Take care, everybody.